So I'm going to take advantage of a relatively quiet moment here and try and give you a general update on some key news stories that are happening. Let's see, overnight in the town of Makusani in the Puno region, there were some deaths, 2 deaths, I believe. And following that, things really heated up overnight. And folks there burned the main police station, and in that particular district, there's no fire station, so the closest fire station is like 2-3 hours away. So that police station burned to the ground, and the police stationed there escaped by helicopters. So that took place after the 2 protesters died. I think one of them is in the hospital, expected to not make it, and the other one died. The one who died was a 35-year-old woman who was shot in the head, and the one who is in the hospital and no one knows if he's going to make it or not is a 30-year-old man who was shot in the back. Let's see, there's been a large gathering and staging area for support of protesters in Lima at the Universidad San Marcos, and that had a portion of the campus taken by students who were supporting protests and people coming into Lima by cooking food and gathering supplies and that kind of thing. There were several hundred people there using the green spaces, the outdoor spaces, no classrooms or anything, to do what they were doing in support of protests. And they were there for a couple of days, all peaceful, no violence, no destruction of property or anything like that, but holding the area. And the university administrators all met, and the board of directors all met to try and decide what to do about it. And they voted and concluded this morning that they didn't want to allow that use of university property. So they told the group there that they needed to be out by noon, and they have, that group has started to move out and is expected to be out of there by noon. It's not known where they're going to go. There were no police required moving in there or what have you. So that's good news as far as it not being something that's going to escalate to violence or potentially cause damage at the really significant archives and libraries at that major university in Lima. Let's see, in Cusco, here in Cusco, the news reports that overnight national police found a large amount of explosives in a home in Santiago, which is one of the districts of Cusco, about a kilometer and a half from where I live. So they confiscated all of those, and they say that the pyrotechnics and explosives, which included like fireworks, just fireworks all the time in Cusco, may have been used as improvised explosive devices and for that sort of purpose in recent protests over the past few days in Cusco, which doesn't entirely make sense to me because I have not heard any explosions in Cusco outside of completely normal fireworks, which there are always fireworks in Cusco, and there are some major fiestas that are going on. And in that vein, the fiesta for the patron saint of San Sebastian, in other words, San Sebastian, who is the patron saint of the district by that name, his festivities would be tomorrow, and that would involve lots of processions and dances and all of that sort of stuff. And those have been suspended. They think they are probably going to do the mass that they would normally do towards the end of those festivities a little later on, another day. So that suggests that people think there will still be issues going on in Cusco tomorrow, not just today. All of the roads in and out of Cusco are blocked at this time, so you're not going anywhere. They're also reporting that although early in the morning, like up until sometime between 8 and 9, in some areas, they were permitting public transit to circulate and taxis to circulate. Now that has been stopped. Now there are no more taxis being allowed out and about in Cusco. And there are reports coming in that protesters are running up to taxis who are not acatando al paro, who are not doing their bit, being in agreement with the strike, and they are letting air out of their tires, which is disruptive, but it isn't like breaking windows, it isn't slashing tires, it's letting the air out. So that does mean that folks in their taxis are not able to work today, but it does not mean that they are losing their livelihood, if you know what I'm saying. So there's that. There are lots of roadblocks at lots of points all around Cusco, and I am hearing a lot more noise from Plaza Tupac Amaru, which is kind of the main staging area for central Cusco protests, as opposed to like more outskirts protests. Cusco is, remember, a city around the size of Oakland, California. Just for context, I know that not everybody realizes where things are located or how big things are in Peru, but Cusco is a large city. It's a sizable city. The overall Cusco area has a population of around 1.5 million people. So it is not like, I mean, every so often somebody says, well, tell me about your village, and they're asking about Cusco, and I'm like, but you never ask me about my village of Oakland, which is my USA home. Anyway, just for comparison, talking about the size of things, what we're looking at, that's some stuff that's good to know. And let's see what else. All the markets are closed, so don't go shopping. More bridges and key points of transit are blocked than I have seen pictures and video of at any other point in the strikes and protests, which began in the second week of December. So we are now, going into this. One of the things that has been pointed out is that there are more dead right now than there are days of this administration's age. So that's worrisome. Let's see. In Lima, they are reporting that that's additional, not just part of the regular count, but additional 11,800 national police have been deployed to maintain security. And so far, things have not, I'm not seeing huge reports from Lima of tons of really heavy action, but we are seeing reports of that from around Peru, all around Peru. So there's plenty of it happening. And yeah, so no way in or out of Cusco at this point in time. We have received word that one train to Machu Picchu did roll in. So I would say that suggests that, it was an early bimodal transport. So like a bus that left Cusco, went to Ollantaytambo, and folks got on the train there and went down to Machu Picchu. I wouldn't count on other trains necessarily. It's unknown. So yeah, it's still relatively early. It is 10:30 a.m. right now. So there's still a lot more going on, and we're just starting to see protest groups come in via various different routes. The one that just went by is from the Association of Civil Engineers and Construction Workers on Infrastructure Projects. So lots more groups still coming in. More to report. Stay tuned. So as we're waiting for this group to come closer, I will point out that there are no cars in the Kia dealership, but there are families still walking down the sidewalk, and this bank is boarded up, and all the businesses right around here are closed. So yeah, so here is who we've got coming in. This looks like this is the group that is led by the civil engineers and their construction workers. That's coming down the road right here, right now. And they have a whole band to accompany them making noise. And one of the things that I would point out is that in better times, these same unions and these same groups organize parades and dances and really big events where they feed massive amounts of people and, take large statues and carry them all through the city. And, so this kind of organization is not something that they find scary. But notice that it is considered very peaceful. We've got a little girl on a scooter going the other way. So they usually have somebody with a bike or motorcycle who's going to run ahead and scout the path as needed, and who will talk with police or whoever. Here and there, the fear is over, is that chant. This group is rolling in from a rural community. I can't see which one yet. They have noisemakers and they also have pututus, which are instruments made from a conch shell, and they are used to call people to meetings and significant events out in the country. So they strongly represent country life. So let's see if we can see the signs over here and who's coming. These are folks from up around Sacsayhuaman, which is one of the archaeological sites above Cusco. This is the rural community of Huayarcocha. And you can hear that the pututu makes a lot of noise. That is the flag of the Tawantin Suyo, the four Suyos, the four nations of the Inca Empire, the rainbow flag, also the flag of Cusco. That is the rural community of Yuncay Pata. There's a whole lot more people coming. Oh. So that's the country community of Fortaleza up by Sacsayhuaman, which has a number of people from other communities, including people from Chinchero, where I grew up. And these are people who work at the ruins as well. The Peruvian flag with its red bars replaced in black is to indicate mourning, as in grief. And again, there are chase vehicles and go in front vehicles for logistic support reasons, and people are carrying water and medical supplies, and in many cases you also have doctors and nurses accompanying these community processions of protest. Here is another group going the other way, and this is the municipality of Huanchac, which is where I live, here in Cusco, and these are municipal workers, and they are taking it to the streets. Coming the other way, you have the Comunidad Campesina Quiliahuata. I don't know where Quiliahuata is. vendors of breakfast drinks and evening drinks. Virgen del Carmen from San Sebastian, which is out to the south of Cusco. It's like a suburb of Cusco. So these are the ladies who sell quinoa drinks for breakfast and emoliente at night. You can see the orange juice vendor is walking around. She might make some money in the course of the day. And as a matter of fact, there's quinoa. There's a cart with quinoa. So they are prepared to feed people. A lot of these vendors are feeding people and giving them drink for free, you know, because it's important. And again, like I say, the motorcycles and chase vehicles that are accompanying these processions and these marches are, in most cases, who has actually been taking wounded to hospitals. So there's more protests rolling by than I'm going to have time to add to this video if I plan to ever upload it. But I did really think it was important to show who's out here protesting, what banners they're carrying, where they are from, that they are identifying themselves, that they are groups that include the elderly and the very young and even families, and that they are absolutely being peaceful. And yeah, so I guess that's one of the things that I want to say. As much as there's a lot of talk about things being chaos and very dangerous in Cusco, my take is that it is generally not very dangerous unless you're someplace where there is a confrontation with police. Which mostly is not in the protests. There are not very many police going along with these protests and accompanying stuff. And normally you do see police accompanying protests as much as anything to protect the protesters from people on the sidelines who maybe don't agree with whatever they're saying. So I'm saying outside of these specific protests since December, you normally will see police escorts accompanying them, and so this is definitely different. Police are placed with the military at strategic points that are considered to be at risk, and they are not accompanying the marchers. You can see this guy in front is carrying lots of bottled water, and they're all carrying Peruvian flags. And the chant is Dina, assassin, el pueblo, the community, the town, rejects you. And this is the Federation of State Workers. And they're chanting Dina, butcher, resign. And these are the city workers from Huanchac, here where I live. So these are people who work doing bureaucracy. These are people who sweep the street and collect garbage. And they say the blood that has been shed will never be forgotten. These are the permanent workers from the city of San Sebastian. So this is a large group of municipal workers, people who work in the city offices and maintaining the city functioning. Also, I don't know if you can see, but it is getting windy and cold, and there is rain coming in, so that's going to make for a long day protesting for people. So yeah, this is going to be going on all day, maybe for days. No telling. And so long as nobody instigates anything, it's going to stay peaceful like this. Generally speaking, the people who are doing the protesting have not been instigating. They have complained of infiltrators who are not people they know. So as you can see, if you've got a group of all the municipal workers, you probably know who your coworkers are. If you've got a group from your immediate community, you know who they are. If you've got people who, ordinarily you would be running a dance troupe and carrying a statue of your patron saint through the streets, you know who is part of your crew. And you know when a stranger comes up and instigates some stuff. And that is what people have been saying has been happening. So let's really hope that does not happen. And, and all of that. I'm seeing some people, mostly foreigners, in some of the groups around social media and stuff, say that they don't think there's enough military action happening here and there should be stronger military action taken, and they should get out there with the tear gas and the rubber bullets and all of that and put a stop to this. And I have to say that my perception is that would serve to escalate things more than anything else. Anyway, stay tuned. I will be back throughout the day.